What happened on that weekend, you can't change that. That's always going to be, I think, a pretty pathetic chapter in the history of peaceful demonstrations in this city. And I've been doing journalism in Toronto almost 30 years. I've covered hundreds, if not 1,000, demonstrations over the years. I can never remember one that got as out of hand as that one did. Before long, I found myself in the middle of a group of a couple of thousand people who were marching down Yonge Street, trying to have what looked like a peaceful protest, just confirming that people had not given up their free speech rights despite the fact that some very powerful people were in town. And they ran into some difficulties in trying to make that point. There was no traffic, and people sat in the streets and sang songs and made peace signs, and it was all pretty peaceful. And then the police moved in, and it wasn't so peaceful. Rows of police officers with guns drawn on either side of demonstrators trying to hem them in, and it was pretty nervous. It was a pretty tense time. There were shots fired, there were people beaten up, there were obviously 1,000 people in total, more than 1,000 arrested that night. I think almost all of them without charges at all. And yeah, it was not a great night for democracy in Toronto, that's for sure. The performance of the police, the politicians, that's in stone. What's happened since then? I leave it up to other people to judge whether or not we've made any progress since then. Certainly we've had a number of different inquiries and lights shone upon what happened, and people can make their own decisions as to how useful or effective those inquiries were. So in terms of trying to achieve what the international leaders wanted to achieve, I don't think that was the story that weekend, that's for sure.